Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. My name is Dogboat333, and welcome back to Hearts of Iron 4, The New Order, Last Days of Europe, as the US of A. Now, in the last video, let's see, what did we do? We started working, we had two back-to-back diplomatic crises that just kind of went nowhere, honestly. And so we're looking pretty strong, unity-wise, as a nation. And we're working on tackling injustice everywhere by blackmail, and we're fighting corruption with corruption. So, you know, that's how it works. Have some free civilian factories, and we'll use these guys to build more civilian factories. Because that's how that works, ladies and gentlemen, as we all know. No longer the effects of civilian austerity. I mean, I'll keep cutting it just for the heck of it, but we don't even need to, I think. Okay, so I got some chocolate milk. I think that's what drink of the series, chocolate milk. Rain Hoover in. England and Wales at what? Jolly-o. And, yeah, that chocolate milk is our drink. Let's see. Miraculously, Hoover has agreed to cooperate with the Kennedy administration. There remains a bevy of work to do before we can rest on our laurels. However, for now, we can put our ally to good use. So the first days we lost the Second World War, support for the fascist menace has unfortunately risen on our shores. This has led to an upswing in membership for groups such as the Ku Klux Klan and formation of groups which share the same viewpoint. They are a menace on not only the black population of the South, in which they have both a large presence and widespread support, but also the law who attempts to enforce our laws. Lawmen who enforce the laws. In short, fascist paramilitaries are running around the South causing havoc for government and its people. But if there's anyone who can find all sorts of excuses to bring them down for good, it's Mr. Speed himself. There we go. I guess I noticed the Kingdom of Serbia finally won. Right, mate, you got a license for conquering that Wales, mate, huh? Nobody said reforming the nation would be easy, but it'd be a whole lot as painful if our own employees weren't actively scheming against us, using the FBI as his own personal army of spies. Hoover has become one of the most powerful and field men in the country, covertly infiltrating government organizations all across America, allegedly amassing a huge quantity of blackmail materials and carrying out clandestine and often illegal operations. In essence, they're a shadow government within the government, infesting our institutions like dormant tuberculosis bacteria, just waiting for conditions to be right for them to awaken. This has to stop. Though he should be our obedient underling, Hoover has effectively become a rogue spy master with an unprecedented level of power and clout. His interests are very often at odds with our own. He's far too entrenched in the FBI to effectively neutralize. Perhaps we can give him a bit of his own medicine to get a leash on him and stop his unethical operations. There have been unseemly rumors about Hoover and his longtime protege, Clyde Tolson, floating around for decades, involving all-male parties and furtive visits from handsome young men in the middle of the night. Hoover may like dirty tricks, but the two can play that game. Let's fling his closet open to see what skeletons fall out, because everyone must be brought to heel. Here we go. Men of Hoover's wealth and status have long graduated past a furtive boy-on-boy touching in the boarding school bedroom, and the ashamed shut-eye groping in public restrooms, and carry on their clandestine affairs in luxury hotel rooms. It was in one such plush, well-appointed hotel that one of our Secret Service agents was able to snap a few choice pictures of Hoover staying there with his protege of several decades and second-in-command Tolson, in a room with only one bed. Even more interestingly, we got some pictures of Hoover and Tolson meeting up with a pair of handsome young men in the hotel bar and taking them up to their rooms. All you have to do is get a little bit of digging, and all of a sudden you're turning up yellowed old skeletons all over the place. Dig up the yellow brick road, and who knows what you find. Blackmailing people because of their sexuality. I love it. Mind the economy. Continue independence. Okay, they're still staying independent, which is good. Because, yeah, if they go down the Burgundian path, they're eaten. CI research complete. On what? I have no fucking idea because I can't read that anymore. A move most were expecting. Right, mate. Can ease southern fears. Yeah, we'll ease some southern fears. Thorough investigation. Now let's work on examining the police force. To serve and protect, so goes the refrain. Ideally, the dual matters of who to serve and who to protect should not be addressed. The equality of service and protection is a sine qua non for a government agency. To our shame, America's officers are taking advantage of mottos of good faith to display selectively, supposed to say, in its implementation, the prejudices of our moral police, not merely forces... black. I can't read. What's wrong with me? The prejudices of our police force present not merely a moral quandary for any good man should overcome, but a scattering of thorns deeply embedded within the body politic, sending shooting pains throughout the country as it attempts to grow freely. An examination is long overdue. Like any good doctor, we must adhere to our oaths and do our best to root these thorns out. So I believe now we're working on some fascists and investigating them. Maybe. Since we put leash on Hoover, our agents have been steadily tearing through the FBI's files to figure out exactly what they've been up to, and surprise, surprise, it's not sunshine and rainbows. From the records that remain, it appears that Hoover has been using the FBI as his own personal army, sending agents to acquire blackmail material on important figures and extrajudiciarily pursuing suspected criminals. Among the less shocking stuff is a number of redacted files our agents have uncovered evidence of a secret program called COINTELPRO. We don't have all the facts so far, but it appears to be an intelligence gathering program focused on somewhat vaguely chosen enemies of a nation, most notable civil rights leaders. Hoover appears authorized on the use of illegal tactics to gather information on these people and to harass them into silence and inaction. Needless to say, this is a complete and total violation of a victim's rights and is a subversion of everything President Kennedy stands for. It's time to drag Hoover into the Oval Office and have a rather serious chat with him. The cat's out of the bag. Free military factories. Let's get some good old HoI's back. The air sat still and muggy in the Roosevelt room. Many of the men sitting around the table had rolled up their sleeves and loosened their ties. Kennedy's chair creaked back as he looked at each of them in turn. Hoover, Humphrey, key members of his cabinet. He turned to the aides clustered around the walls and asked them to leave. When he was alone with his most trusted underlings, as well as Hoover, he began. Mr. Hoover, so far we've discussed the principles and functions of the COINTELPRO program, and for now, I'm letting you off the hook. The president hoped Hoover would visibly show relief, but he just sat there blankly like an Olmec head. However, if it strikes me that it would be a colossal waste of resources to cancel the program. That got some odd looks from Humphrey and the others. Hoover narrowed his eyes in appraisal. Kennedy continued, It has occurred to me that with minimal difficulty, this program could be repurposed to investigate certain reactionary elements that oppose the goals and ideals of his administration, including the enemies of justice within the party. Everyone in the room looked taken aback. Humphrey stared at the president, open-mouthed in surprise. Internally furious, Kennedy had consulted him beforehand. Hoover, after a moment of inaction, smiled nobly. Of course, Mr. President. Why, it would hardly take any time at all. All you've got to do is write me a list. His toad-like grin stretched out his every wrinkle. Kennedy nodded. Very good, Mr. Hoover. We'll be in touch soon. Thank you, everyone. Extreme problems require extreme solutions. Ooh. So while originally used to investigate leaders and organizations involved in the civil rights movement, President Kennedy has repurposed the FBI's COINTELPRO program to investigate political opponents who use the very progress that is needed for this nation to survive. While opposed by some of the cabinet, it will ensure that we can force anyone who disagrees with progressives to see the light. It is recommended these activities are not taken lightly, however, as this could lead to the wrong people getting upset. Here we go. So, we're viewed as a man straddling the balance. Man lost a history book. So I'm thinking now we go ahead and do a fight against poverty. Start making the RDs look a little bit better. And get our poverty rate up and going. Examine the police force. We'll go ahead and do Watching the Watchmen. As part of a country's finely tuned system of checks and balances, America's venerable constitution has graced the president the power to create new agencies and commissions without consulting Congress on the matter. Often these organizations, benefiting the ad hoc nature of a creation, tackle single issues and are with the resources they are appointed. Kennedy has seen it fit to form one such commission by executive order. The National Ethics Commission's mission bears a simplicity that masks significance. To ensure the government enforces the law to both its letter and spirit. In a just world, the president can trust his subordinates across the country to uphold their oaths. For an especially unjust world, he remarks, the NEC is necessary in order to project the march of progress. No one is above the law. The men filed out of the room, still heat, reluctantly donning their suit jackets and tightening their ties. Humphrey put his hand on Kennedy's shoulders as he was about to leave, indicating wordlessly that they had unfinished business. When they were alone, he closed the door and began restlessly pacing around the room. Kennedy tracked him with narrowed eyes. It seems you made some decisions I wasn't consulted on, began Humphreys acerbically, tossing Kennedy's sidelong glance. I'm not beholden to you, Rupert, replied the president dryly, holding himself. Not every ruler feels the need to consult their vizier before every little decision. Humphreys stopped shock and still and spun to Kennedy. Good God, man! Can you hear yourself? You're speaking like a Roman emperor. A petty Caesar! His face was becoming ruddy. You want to use Hoover's goons to investigate our own party? It's vile! I won't condone it! The purpose of curtailing injustice is lost when you achieve it through the methods of a tyrant. Ken remained coolly detached through Humphrey's tirade. He took a hard breath. Hubert, would St. George have tried to slay the dragon without a sword? We can't stay on the high road when our enemies prove they are willing again and again to stoop to the dirtiest tactics available to them. A weapon is just a weapon. It's neither good nor evil, only a tool for the man who wields it to impose his will on the world. We will use the FBI to purge the enemies of justice from America. That's all there is to it. And for a closing remark, he turned on his heel, opened the door, and strode purposely from the room. Humphrey's shoulders slumped. He'd seen the strange gleam in Kennedy's eyes as he spoke towards the end. What was he becoming? The ends justify the means, right? Despite pledging to serve and protect every American citizen, it's open secret that racism taints the police departments of America like black mold and old plaster. Unfortunately, a career in the police appears to attract the kind of people that have progressive views and enjoy using their power to beat down the people they don't like, and anyone who looks at them sideways while they do it. And the tacit approval from the brass doesn't help matters. Every week more reports come in of black people being harassed, wrongfully arrested, beaten, and yes, killed by policemen in cities across the nation. This epidemic of racist violence against American citizens by the men who are being paid to protect them must be stopped. This morning, President Kennedy gave a speech at the Capitol, virulently denouncing the systemic racism of law enforcement and promising to root out the un-American racists entrenched within the nation's police. Thurman responded by calling the president a witch hunter in the Senate, but we can't let the craggly old lizards in Washington stop us. We'll stop this injustice, whatever it takes. Another system to be fixed. So we get the option to do something now. What exactly? I'm not sure. Didn't a court justice die or something? 4 conservatives, 5 liberals. Here in Stonewall Inn, the dances are many. Dances profane and holy, intimate and vast, moneyed and poor alike. For now, it's all John Rousseau can do to keep up with one. Left and right and left, again. A swirl of the body so sweeping it belongs on the parade square, not like the rough tiles of the floor. And the shoes opposite him trace the contours in life slips and end up in their original placing, by some arcane coincidence. Martin glares at him with visible annoyance. John looks down in sheepishness. The moment stretches taut, pulls apart and snaps. Martin bursts out laughing, tickled by something on John's face. He pulls him to himself. His face smells of smoke and aftershave. The kiss is tart and startling in the dim neon. John pulls back with the old instincts of a Brooklyn boy who always knew how much of himself to show and how much to hide. But today a part of him resists, and instead he stays. It's a raw comfort, and the glittering sharpness of a moment, it's all he has. Martin pulls away with some reluctance. The date had been brief, and even this hour had been snatched at great cost. They haven't much time. He takes John's arm, and together they spin out of a little bar, their little dance studio. Their figures are quickly lost in the chaos and brilliance of a New York light, blending in the neon shade phantoms before disappearing. Well, how romantic. I'm sure nothing bad is going to happen in Stonewall. I'm sure. Heavy aircraft. Yeah, we don't have too much to do. Watching The Watchmen. Beating the Southern bullies. Second change in Crisis come and pass. Seasons change in Crisis come and pass. Both bearing stormy winds that do away with facades to unveil the true hearts of men. Such has undoubtedly been the case in America in recent years as the NPP continues on the onward march to delivering freedom and equality, true freedom and equality, in the country. With all that has happened, is it really any surprise that the winds of stormy change have unveiled the Dixiecrats' hearts and found a rotting, fetid organ? Long have we disavowed them for what should be and is becoming a daily part of progress, yet their presence lingers in their home states, ready to impede the federal government from enforcing its own laws through every step of the way. A party of vipers, through and through. Perhaps they can only be handled as vipers should. And I think with this will go down. The president set out a long note this afternoon to all the state directors regarding procedures and routines for handling cases where police officers got reported for improper conduct, both legal action and behavior or contrary to police code. For too many years, police officers have been allowed to take a break for 6 months while recovering, and then come back to the force as if nothing ever happened. For more serious cases, early retirements have been the norm. This is not and never was okay. It is a custom that systemically gives police officers the freedom to exercise their power beyond their mandate. It pardons police officers who accidentally shoot innocent people and even worse crimes. Kennedy sent a clear message to the police in our nation that such actions will not be tolerated. The note was leaked to the press, and progressives around the country celebrated the president's clear voice in such matters. RD voters are more skeptical. Conservatives and Democrats argue that the president should not interfere in the judicial branch, that the president should be kept his powers limited to the executive domain. Republicans, on the other hand, are more concerned with how this might limit police efficiency. The results of Kennedy's routines are, of course, yet to be seen. May they be good despite any criticism. This should get them into shape. The question is, will it, though? Let's get some more airborne boys going. Those are always good. China modernizes. So quickly, okay. Damn, China. Oh, that's just technology, okay. So they did education, they're working on technology, and soon industrialization. I understand now. Oh, Congo Civil War. We have the Congolese Republic. We have the Popular Republic of the Congo. Azotaland. Sudkasi. Wait, what? Okay, defeated the... What the fuck? Okay, Red Twilight. The Central Powers win the First World War? Excuse me? The Union of Britain? The Commune of France? Boris Savinkov? Who the fuck even... What sort of bullshit is this? We live in a childish fantasy, don't we? The American Commonwealth? The Third American Civil War? What do you mean there was a second? What? What malarkey. Beating the Southern bullies. Now let's work on the war on poverty. The president has made return from his tour across the nation. Well, it's made for some good PR opportunities, disquieted by the sheer level of poverty he's encountered in some of the most destitute parts of America. That we can claim to be a superpower where our own citizens endure such grueling hardships is appalling. As long as there is plenty, poverty is evil, and the president will make it absolutely clear that his office will dedicate itself to the eradication of poverty in our great country. Kennedy glared across the resolute desk at Humphrey and Clark. Clark was leaning forward, jabbing the air with his finger, while Humphrey sat back. Unbelievable! Have you lost your goddamn mind? They may be a bunch of segregationists, racists, obstructionist Confederates, but the rightists are our party brothers. For Christ's sakes, Bobby. We hate them as much as you do, but we should be focusing on reducing their influence within the party, not going after them with a phalanx of spies like we're the second coming of Nixon. Clark slumped back, panting and puffing. Humphrey sighed and leaned forward. Listen, Bobby, I'll keep this brief. Ramsey and I can't be part of this. It's an insult to democracy and the Constitution. I went to you first as a friend. Now you make me come to you as vice president. This is a formal complaint. Kennedy slammed his fist down. Oh shit. I unplugged my headset accidentally. Shit. Kennedy slammed his fist down on the desk, suddenly full of vitriol. Humphrey narrowed his eyes. Kennedy had been flying off the handle more and more often lately whenever he was challenged. Do you too? Began Kennedy, barely keeping his reputation. Know who you're talking to? I'm the goddamn president. I have no choice. This has to be done if we want to keep Thurman and Eastland's minions in check. When the president does it, that means it's not illegal. Believe me, this is the right thing to do. The only thing to do. This is how we save the nation. He raised his arms above him and stared at the immaculately whitewashed ceiling. Later, when he was leaving the Oval Office, Kennedy found his thoughts circling invariably back to Clark and Humphrey. They had outed themselves as traitors to the cause of justice. Something had to be done. They'd had to be silenced before they destroyed everything he'd be striving to achieve. My way or the highway. So I think this is going to open up silencing the cabinet. So we have 90 days to silence the general. Stan McCooley bit into a sandwich. Egg salad again. Couldn't his wife make him something different for a change? God damn it, he busted his ass down the mine all damn day so he could sit on the couch getting fat and watching soaps. An egg salad in his lunchbox every day was the best she could do. Chewing his lunch without relish, Stan looked around at the others. Shit, Ted's wife packed him a roast chicken. Still, it's not like he could afford much better, not after the pay cuts. He bet the receptionists of the company often got paid better than him, and he risked injury or death every day. Conditions may not be better than they used to be, but they could be a hell of a lot better. Not that the president was having the situation any. The grinning bastard got into the White House by lying through his teeth, saying he'd support the unions and make conditions better for the working man. Of course, just like every other fucking Washington snake, he'd gone back on it the second he could, just like every politician did. Stan had voted for him out of a vague hope Kennedy would do the right thing, but he was not surprised when he'd been stabbed in the back. Stan smirked privately as he forced down repulsive egg salad. Kennedy made an enemy of the unions, and that was not a good enemy to have. The president thought he could get away with saying one thing and doing another. He'd had another thing coming. All he had to do was honor his work and give the working man a fair shake, but he'd chosen to antagonize his strongest supporters instead of satisfying the fickle interests of capital. Stan knew he was a little man, but even a little man has power in a group. Or a mob. The mob rushes in where individuals fear to tread. So as soon as we get the election coming in, I believe, Kennedy cannot die. is very good for our purposes. And as always, we're going to target some Democrats. Only 40 million to do that now. Beautiful. Presidential election season has begun. Primaries are concluded, the convention is over. Now the battle between the chosen candidates of the RDs and the NPP will begin in earnest. Almost every electoral race from country commissioners is to state More and more, the personality of a candidate is what's important. Who's the charmer? Who's more charismatic? Who's the one that will make the voters truly feel like they hear them, and who will fight for them? The polls, televised debates, newspapers and interviews, and speeches around the nation will help the undecided make their choice, while reinforcing the partisans in theirs. The race has begun. It's a long way until November. Ladies and gentlemen, we're doing it. Keeping America strong and free. Vote R and D. So where do we want to go? I'm thinking the... We're doing well in the Great Lakes. Okay, let's look. Great Lakes is a toss-up presidential-wise. East Coast is a bit of a different story. Let's get working on the Great Lakes. And I believe the AI cannot campaign, luckily. So we'll be a bit... It'll just be us and them. Or us and us. Operational success. Operators will be ready for a new task. And what do we want to do? I'm thinking... Let's slow down the Gross Rim project. Whatever that is. Best of luck to him. How can America be called the greatest nation in the world when millions of our citizens drown in abject squalor? Across the nation, children starve, workers are paid a pittance, whole communities slip through the cracks. It is imperative that we break the cycle of poverty and lift our poor and dispossessed out of that dark abyss. It is our duty as rulers, as fellow Americans, to ensure that our people can rise out of poverty and be provided with the opportunities they need to pursue happiness. On its journeys across America, Kennedy is seen as poverty is no overpolitician as children starving in Mississippi, farm workers treated like slaves in California, blacks across the South living in utter destitution. He saw it all, and behind the proud faces of the men, he saw the shame, the desperation, the resignation. He saw the emptiness in the children's eyes from which the light had long ago guttered out in the thought of his own children. Those images of pain and degradation remained with him, consuming his waking thoughts, haunting his dreams. He knew he had to do something, for when he closed his eyes, he saw those dark, shrunken faces crying out for his savior. But Rome was not built in a day. President knew his internal consternation that poverty was, like everything else, twisted into the political issues by the cruel vipers of Washington. The aid of Wallace and his cronies could be vital to success for salvo and anti-poverty legislation, but would their support be worth the price? And we're better off keeping our hands clean. Because, you know, that's something we're known for doing right now. Keeping our hands clean. Let's do federal food banks. There's more than enough food in our country to feed the people, but there are many who simply cannot afford to feed themselves and their families. While the people struggle just to get enough to sustain themselves through the day, it's impossible for them to spend any time trying to improve themselves. We must establish food banks to provide for the most destitute among us, so that they may have a chance at pulling themselves out of poverty. We can source donations of food from generous Americans and grant federal funding to buy out excessive stock from stores and supply centers. Ultimately, we must ensure that nobody goes to bed on an empty stomach. A little bit more on monthly population. We'll do the fight against poverty again. Make the RDs look a little bit better. Now, which one can we get PP with? So I'm thinking we might want to get some extra political power going. Operational success. Yes, strengthen pro-American sentiment. There we go. We'll see how much this helps us out, actually. Old Hubert. An excellent RT campaign. Wonderful. Missouri is apparently a toss-up. Have lots of likelies all across. Huh. Kentucky's a toss-up. New Mexico's a toss-up. Operational success. 40 political power. I'll take that. Well, hold on. We can't. Okay, they're not campaigning. Never. Yeah, just silence in the AG. That's for yeah. That's for that. Okay, let's do. Honestly, let's do no checks. Mass campaigning, boys. Yeah, love to see it. Engineering. Let's. Ooh, we can get the better guns. The M16A1. That'll be great. Let's form the Job Corps. And then we can do the Affordable Housing Act. An original paradox. One needs experience to find work, but one also needs work to get experience. Our youth know the struggle best of all, you're telling me. As they are all forced into deeds and jobs that provide no room for self-improvement, we shall establish an organization that will offer training and work experience for young adults across the country. Not only will this improve the career prospects of our young workforce, it will also fill the markets with a wealth of newly skilled laborers to provide a much-needed boost to our local economies. Saturday Night Massacre. More guys, put him up with Chris Wallace. Polls are updated. Let's check on the horse race. They're all tilting towards the NPP victory. Toss-up. Tilts. But that was Salazar. all hell's broken loose. This morning, Ramsey Clark's inflammatory report of our use on COINTELPRO was on the front page of every newspaper in America. To put it lightly, it's been a catastrophic disaster, the scale of which surpasses all others in history. It's like they've already forgotten about Nixon. We have everyone watched, and literally everyone, going for our throat. Our friends have distanced themselves, and even our staunchest allies won't return our calls. Thurman's Cote have been screaming themselves hoarse all day, and most worryingly, the president has already received numerous death threats. The Kennedy administration teeters on the edge of annihilation as discussion of impeachment begins behind closed doors. In the Oval Office, the president sits slumped in his chair. He hasn't moved for almost 15 full minutes, can't seem to find the will to do anything. Kennedy sighs, looking around the room that had once played host to both his father and his brother. How would he be remembered now? As a stalwart of civil rights, an enemy to injustice, and a champion of progress, or as a cowardly, corrupt slimeball who uses power to contravene the Constitution and to send an army of spies against his political adversaries? Kennedy clenched his hands into fists and sat up. No, he couldn't let himself fall farther than to stare. For God's sakes, he was the president. I have to move forward, he thought, as he picked up the phone. This can't be the end. It can't. Even as he felt the newfound energy rushing through him, he knew he was lying to himself. This is the end of my presidency. I'm fucked. A terrible good. Russo finished ceasefire signed. So many Americans spent their lives floundering in poverty despite to better the situation, but lacking the resources to make it happen. Too many. If we are to lift them out of poverty, we need to help them develop the skills and attributes to find gainful employment training they otherwise would never been able to get. The solution? The Job Corps, a new program run by the Department of Labor aiming at providing low-income Americans with free vocational training to improve their quality of life by giving them skills they need to better advance their socio-economic standing. With the advent of a Job Corps, we'll be able to show America's indignant millions a path out of the darkness of poverty, where a brighter future awaits those who are willing to make it theirs. A brighter day dawns. I think we'll wait until the others reappear. Yeah, the Great Lakes is a total toss-up. Holy shit. Okay. Oh, no. I'm used to using that one. Decisions. There we go. Decision, no check. There we go. Well, let's go ahead and try the Affordable Housing Act. To Americans, a house is not simply a refuge from their elements, a shelter providing warmth, or a storehold for their prized possessions. A house is their castle, within which they will feel most secure than anyone else on earth. A house is their domain, its walls marking the bounds whereupon their world is absolutely law. A house is their symbol, and with it they declare to the world they are freed men, beholden to none but their government. Strip an American of his house, and he becomes little more than a slave. What does it say of today's America that most of its citizens do not have the money to buy a house of their own? The Party Center has been long aware of the problem and has drafted a bill designated to encourage the construction of affordable housing projects in America's booming cities. Soon every American will own a castle, but that is in the far, far future. We can instead content ourselves for having guaranteed the future as soon as President Kennedy has signed it into law. Let's do no, decision done, no checks. There we are. Seems to be some room for compromise. All 27. 30. That should be good, actually. We'll talk to a few more Republicans just to really save it, you know, lock it down a little bit more, but that should be good. The American dream has centered around one thing, owning your own home. But ever since the end of war, real estate development has been more focused on developing middle-class suburbia, thousands of cookie-cutter homes on twisting cul-de-sacs far from the center of big cities. This has left millions, especially racial minorities, squeezed out of the housing market. The Full Housing Act will solve the issue and make many new homes and their amenities to make new communities. So 23 of 31 Republicans, 9 of 37 Democrats, all 27 of the center. So what? That's 50. That's 59. Going to the Senate cafeteria and seeing the various senators dining in the open is an eye-opening experience. Men and women who diametrically opposed ideologically can be seen chatting and having a good time, while those who are in the same party can often be seen avoiding each other. It's a great way to see who's an introvert and who's an extrovert, and how even nitty-gritty politics can get done. An haze of cigarette smoke and the smell of a meal served hot by some of the best chefs in Washington, Scoop Jackson was sitting with some of his Republican colleagues, enjoying their middle afternoon break. So the housing bill. I can tell you that you're here to get that passed, right? Well, if you want to get to business, Scoop replied. But you know it'll help your communities greatly. Make a lot of new homeowners, taxpayers, and all that shit. That'll make your cities unhappy, indeed. It won't just be Chicago, Seattle, Miami that get some money. Every city and town in the country can apply for it. It's going to cost a lot, though. Not sure if my constituents will appreciate having to foot the bill. It'll pay for itself in time. Besides, if you give a man a home, go and cut the ribbon when they open it up. I'm sure a lot of folks will support you in your next term. Jackson set his glass on the tray and stood up, preparing to get his dirty hands and return to work. You can't get better publicity than that. If we accept this compromise, we'd have 9 new support Republicans. Nah, no deal. We don't need that. We're already doing excellent when it comes to support from the Republicans. Campaigning in the Upper South. How are we doing in the Upper South? Kentucky's a toss-up. I'm not worried about Kentucky. Polls are updated. They're leaning. Tilts. I'm a little worried that we've done so well. Or not bad enough, I guess. Maybe not too well, but not bad enough. Nuclear battleship reactor, why not? Signing ceremony took place in the Oval Office. A flash of photographers' light bulbs, assortment of real estate developments, civil rights leaders, and mailers from cities big and small alike applauded the President Kennedy's signed the Affordable Housing Act into law. I'm pleased to sign this bill into law, which will make it easier to build affordable, livable, and safe housing for those Americans who could only dream of home ownership, the President said moments before he signed the law. Today, we say that every family in the United States has the right to own their own home. The new law will allow citizens to rezone large swaths of areas into higher density residential areas to encourage the development of new construction areas where the cost of housing has priced many out of the markets, and provide low-interest loans to buyers to purchase them. The bill will also provide subsidies to develop common areas like parks and shopping centers, and establish mass transit routes from the new developments to the inner cities. The new homes will not be apartment blocks, like some opponents have suggested, but duplexes, townhouses, row houses, and other such buildings to allow more people access to the housing that the large, car-focused suburban dwelling that are too expensive or even forbidden for racial minorities to access. Government funding is only provided on the condition that no barriers will be put in place for African Americans, Asian Americans, Hispanics, or anyone else. Already, there are many plans being drawn up for Kennedyburgs in every east city of a nation, redeveloping areas that had overlooked and abandoned for years, promising a new construction boom that will last for a decade or no more. A man told him his castle, and there'll soon be many more castles out there. Well, that's it for now, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you as always for watching. If you liked the video, go and leave a like. If not, feel free to dislike. If you want to see more of this content in the future, go ahead and hit the subscribe button for more uploads every weekday, as well as every Saturday. If you have any comments, feedback, concerns, go and leave them in the comment section below. I read all the comments I get and appreciate any all feedback you kind of folks might have for me. If you want to send a few bucks my way, I have a Patreon link below. We can chat, play games, just have a fun old time in general. If you want a Patreon, I have a Discord down link below, and I have a Twitch down link below if you want to check all that out. That's about it for now, folks. Thank you, as always, for watching. My name has been DB333. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.